Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Dispatch. I'm Julie Roginski here with Michelle Kinney. This is not going to take long, other than to say that our president, the leader of the free world, the man who controls all of our fates and has the nuclear codes, is out of his goddamn mind. If you
Like,
watch his performance
objectively.
today,
Yeah.
objectively, like if you
Yeah.
watch his performance today, and we're going to show you some clips to show you what we're talking about, you will understand that he has lost it. He truly, I don't know if he's in the throes of dementia. I don't make fun of dementia at all. It's simply to say that I think we could all recognize the signs of somebody who's not quite there anymore. And here it is. I mean, he's out of his mind. He's talking about how his pollsters told him that. I mean, we have the clip, but his pollsters told him that he is more popular than Thomas Jefferson. I don't know, was it Thomas Jefferson or George Washington?
George
Abraham
Washington and Abraham Lincoln.
combined. I'm sure that's true if your sample size is Donald Trump, but I don't know whose pollsters. I actually know his pollsters. I know Tony Fabrizio. I mean, like he's a legit pollster. So I think that's probably true. The reason that we know it's made up is because he started the conversation with Sir. The clip. Can you pull that clip, Michelle?
Yeah, the second that Sir enters the chat, it's not right. So I think the first thing is what you sent me earlier, right? Yeah. Okay, that's the clip. Okay, I have this here.
But I met with two pollsters because we were starting to think about the next election. They said, sir, if George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came back from the dead and they aligned and they went for the president, vice president as a combination, you'd be beating them by 25 points. And then the next day I was told that something strange is happening.
Something strange is happening.
Definitely happening. Now, if I were an enterprising reporter, I would call Tony Fabrizio. He's busy trying to help pro-Russia despots in Eastern Europe. But maybe you could take a few seconds off and ask, hey, were you one of the pollsters that did this poll? And if so, can we please see the crosstabs and the sample size? And can we please see, all the things that you would demand to see in a poll? Of course, it didn't happen because the minute Sir comes into the equation.
Sir. And they said Sir. I'm like, no one said Sir.
And, the whole thing is so gross. So gross. Because he's crazy. And he's got all of these. It's this. What is this? This is like the Saudi Arabia United States Investment Fund or something. He's using.
Yeah, it's like it's some sort of like financial summit or something like
so
that.
He's got all of these masters of the universe there.
Right.
And Terry Miller in the chat raised something that I want to talk about, which is that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by the man for whom the state dinner was held yesterday. And the Saudi Arabia fest is being held today, Mohammed bin Salman. Everybody thinks it's very cute to refer to him as MBS. He's no. He's not AOC. His name is, he's the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. He's the de facto ruler. He has blood on his hands. He murdered Jamal Khashoggi, who was an employee of Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is feting the guy who had one of his own columnists murdered.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Bezos should be funding some international manhunt to have Mohammed bin Salman designated as a terrorist and brought before the Hague, the same way that Donald Trump, the same way that Freudian slip, Vladimir Putin has been designated. And yet, instead of doing that and using his money for good to protect one of his employees, what's he doing?
Right. I mean, it's, one of the more horrible things about it is like the performative nature in which so many of these people, pretend to care about any of this. Because when it did happen, Jeff Bezos was like, oh no. And then he did a thing with Jamal Khashoggi's widow. And and I actually have the clip here. Hold on. I actually just downloaded it from that chat. I'll get it here in a second, but it's disgusting. And let me just play this here. She's talking to Jake Tapper, ironically enough. So here we go.
Sorry for your loss. It is so awful what you and your family have been through.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
I'm
very
wondering-
much. I appreciate it.
I'm wondering what your reaction was when you heard President Trump today asked about your husband's murder, calling him controversial, and defending the man that U.S. intelligence says was directly involved in his murder. What was your response?
I was disappointed for two reasons. First, to kind of stopping a journalist to do her job by asking, and this reminds me some of a country in Middle East which we don't like it to see this practice here in U.S. And second, to describe Jamal in such a way is not true. It is not related to Jamal, and the kind of justifying the crime by presenting Jamal this way and saying he's controversial and some people does not like him, which has happened with every human being. It does not mean to kidnap him, torture him, and to take his life away. And Jamal was not this person has been described today. It was upsetting for me. I have to say, it was upsetting for me.
Yeah, almost like blaming a victim for what happened to him. If President Trump were listening right now, what would you say to him?
I will tell him, Mr. President, I look at you as a peace man, and I really wish to meet you, for I can introduce Jamal in the right way and as a real way you're not aware of. And I will share with you a lot about Jamal, and it will change your opinion totally about him. Jamal was a transparent man, was a kind man, and he was very, very stable and being loved with a lot of normal people who love such a person who is transparent and honest like Jamal.
Well, you're showing.
You know, the thing is, Julie, the thing that makes me feel additionally bad about this is, and maybe she's just saying it because she's hoping that flattery, you know, maybe she understands what the rest of us do, but it's like there is no amount of anything that is ever going to make Donald Trump feel empathy or sympathy or, you know, he's not a normal person. He doesn't care, and there's no amount of anything that's going to make him care. The only person he cares about is himself. And so you have to flatter him with flowery words and fluffing to get anything out of him. And everybody in the whole world knows that now, which puts us at great risk as a country.
At great risk. And that's what MBS did. Listen, the Swiss gave him a gold bar when they came here to meet with him.
Like sitting on his desk now or something like that.
Tried to get rid of tariffs. Now,
yeah.
I happen to have known Senator Bob Menendez really well.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Bob Menendez is now serving, I believe, over a decade in prison.
Wow.
For accepting gold bars as a United States senator.
Yeah.
In exchange for apparently passing along information to another Middle Eastern country. What is the difference here?
I don't see one.
He got a gold bar in exchange for basically going easy on Switzerland with the tariffs.
Yeah. And I think about this man, Jamal Khashoggi. He was a journalist. He's a journalist doing work, telling the stories that needed to be told from an American publication that before Jeff Bezos took over, changed the course of history more than once with the Pentagon Papers and Watergate. Like, this is a newspaper that pushed the boundaries and told the truth when no one else could or would. And to think now what has happened to that newspaper, and to think that one of its journalists was brutally murdered. We know that he was, and we know who did it. Our own intelligence agencies told us and have confirmed who was responsible And Donald Trump walks him through the front doors of the White House and treats him like a hero.
The journalist of the Washington Post who was most pro Khashoggi and after his death really tried to keep his memory alive and keep Saudi Arabia's feet to the fire was Karen Attiah, who was recently fired. She was the last person of color on that on the opinion side. She was recently let go. And she was let go by people that Jeff Bezos brought in.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder, and I would love to have Karen Attiah on the show, and maybe we'll reach out to her and ask her. I can't help but wonder whether there's a connection between Jeff Bezos sitting at that dinner last night and trying to just erase anybody who would remember Jamal Khashoggi at the Washington Post.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? During that last and final season of The Crown, right, with Dodi, Fayed, and Diana and all this stuff, I was like, of course, deep into Wikipedia trying to see, and like Dodi and Jamal Khashoggi were cousins. Did you know that? I didn't know that at the time. Like the smallest of small worlds. Like this was a man who was connected.
Because Khashoggi, the arms dealer, was related to this Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Adnan Khashoggi, who's a horrible human being, by the way. But Jamal Khashoggi was not. Jamal Khashoggi,
no.
Yeah. So, and everybody who's like, yeah, his cousin or his uncle or whoever was Adnan Khashoggi, and Adnan Khashoggi was a horrible.
Yeah, but like,
so what? What does that have to do with anything?
I hope no one wants to define me by my cousins and my uncle.
Seriously,
come on.
I think we've all got people in our family, my friends, that we would rather not mention.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Jeff Bezos is a terrible person. Like he really is a bad person. And maybe at one point he wasn't, but it's always interesting to watch what enormous amounts of power and wealth will do to a person and warp their every cell in their body into being the worst version of itself. And I want to play some more clips from this today because, in addition to all of this with Jamal Khashoggi and Donald Trump is off his rocker. He is not well. This man has something seriously wrong with him.
Right.
And again, this is where the media is failing us in having the courage to talk about it openly. They're all afraid. But we have to believe our eyes and our ears, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to start playing them.
I would never say a thing like that because I want to be very modest. I always want to be modest as I can. They say this has been the best 9 months that any president has ever had.
I want to be modest, but man, this is...
Are people laughing?
Yes.
People are laughing.
Because it's all funny. It's all very funny. Here's another thing he's going on about the environment.
And trillions of dollars in green new scams. Everything was a new scam. Green. Look, I'm all for the environmental everything. I'm all for climate change. They have new word, climate change. It used to be global warming. It's global warming. Well, that didn't work because it started coming down. They did the global cooling thing. Then they just said, we can't keep up with this. It's too much. So we'll go, perfect words, climate change. They're covered. If it rains, if it snows, if it's warm, it's climate change is destroying the world, remember? The world was supposed to have been gone 2 years ago. They gave us 12 years, Howard, to live, right? 12 years. But that was 14 years ago. The world was going to burn up, but it got actually much cooler. These people, it's a little conspiracy out there. We have to investigate them immediately. They probably are being investigated.
Who are we investigating? The climate scientists?
Climate scientists, apparently. Yeah, because it's all a hoax. This is a man.
I just want to say this, though, Michelle, before we kind of I'll make fun of him for having dementia. Like, people take him seriously. And the
Oh,
reality
right.
is that they're now going to investigate universities that look into climate change, which is
Mhm.
not deniable to anybody who's not funded by the fossil fuel industry.
Mhm.
And, they're going to lose funding. So people are going to be reluctant to now monitor climate change. Now, I will tell you what's going to happen, because we're going to apparently have a cold winter here in the Northeast. This happened every day that I was a Fox. Every time the weather got cold,
Yep.
they would do segment after segment. Oh, you see global warming, but it's snowing. Look out the window. It's snowing here in New York City.
I barely passed 11th grade Regents chemistry. Barely. And I know the difference between climate and weather. These are two different things that happen in the air. Like, Donald Trump doesn't know that. He doesn't understand. The people around him do. And they just, talk in circles around it anyways, because fossil fuels and blah, 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 blah. And it's fashionable to just pretend that the earth is not trying to kick humans out of it. But like, he just says things, because again, this whole like global warming, environmental activist stuff, he's thinking of it in such I'm assuming in this kind of like retro 80s tree hugging way, that it's like all the hippies and this, and like doesn't really understand the actual dire threat of it. But again, I don't know that he would care, even if he
I
did.
know. I think he's not thinking about it from that perspective. I think he's thinking about it, Michelle, as my donors
Right.
all want more coal.
And Saudi Arabia with
And
all
Saudi
the oil.
Arabia wants more oil. And it's interesting because Elon, listen, I have an electric car, and I love it. I mean, I don't love the car, by the way. Never get a Rivian.
Oh yeah, you hate your car.
I hate my car, but I love the concept of having an electric car. And I assume the next car I get will be an electric car. It just will not be a Rivian. Do not ever get a Rivian, my friends. So, but I will also tell you that it's fascinating to me that Elon, who was also back at the White House for the first time since getting summarily dumped months ago, is totally cool with this.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't care. And so and again, like I was pulling all these right as we were coming on, so I don't know what's what here, but he did talk about the Tesla and the tax write-offs and things like that, completely insulting middle class people, by the way. So I'm just going to play these and it will be in here somewhere. Let's see. Here we go.
But I met with two pollsters because we
Oh, wrong one. Let's do this one.
we've done things that nobody thought were possible, and we're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars. Tariffs have been, frankly, the best thing that's ever happened to our country. They've
Best thing that's happened to us. Great.
down despite the Fed.
What's that, Julie?
Rates
There's
are
a new
down.
report out today. Well, go ahead and keep playing that, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
Despite the Fed. I mean, Scott, you got to work in this guy.
Oh,
He's got some real mental problems. No, he's something wrong with him. It's just sweet. I'd be honest. I'd love to fire his ass. He should be fired. Guy's grossly incompetent, and he should be sued for spending $4 billion to build a little building. I'm building a ballroom that's going to cost a tiny fraction of that, and it's bigger than the whole thing put together. You got to work on him, Scott. The only thing Scott's blowing it on is the Fed. Because the Fed, the rates are too high, Scott. And if you don't get it fixed fast, I'm going to fire your ass, okay? I can't tell you, Scott, sir, don't fire him. Sir, please don't fire him.
There it is.
He's got 3 months to go. Don't fire him. I want to get him out, Scott. Please. He's the voice of reason. You're very lucky you have him, I'll tell you that.
I mean, okay, I'm going to talk about trade in a moment. But Jake Tapper, you did a good job on Khashoggi yesterday. It's time to follow up on Donald Trump. And he's having like an imaginary discussion with Sir,
Yeah.
like personality A is saying to personality B, Sir. It's like Sybil. Like what is
like little people on his
yeah,
shoulder.
like what is
Yeah.
going on? Exactly, like the devil and the angel.
Yeah,
Like, Sir, don't fire him, Sir. Get rid of him. By the way, Scott Bessent has no authority to fire the chairman of the Fed, because if Donald Trump knew the difference between fiscal policy and monetary policy, he would understand that.
Well, did you see the clip of Scott Bessent talking to Brett Baier? I think it was last night or the night before. It was nighttime, whatever. And he has some like weird police jacket on. And he was going on and on saying that Donald Trump would make a great Fed chair, that he would be so good at it.
Oh my
Which
God.
means, is he going to appoint himself?
Oh my God. Therefore, he controls both. Okay, if he appoints himself to head up our monetary policy, that's the end of America. That's pull your money out. That is the end of the world. It's going to crash the world economy.
He is signaling that is going to happen. Somewhere in these clips is him talking about it too. Like, let me just keep going through these.
But let me just say this about trade. Okay, there is there's new data released from the Commerce Department today. The Commerce Department, led by Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump's good friend and ally. So I don't want to hear anybody say that this is some Democratic conspiracy or hoax. And this is what the headline is. Trump's tariffs took such a toll on trade in August that imports of goods and services dropped over 5% after tax on exports from about 90 countries went into effect on August 7th. So that happened after less than a month of Trump's tariffs in August. Now let's see what happens in September and October. That is from the Commerce Committee. United States firms clamped down on purchases of foreign goods. And they stockpile, this is after stockpiling months of stuff before the tariffs went into effect. Roughly half the drop in imports was because of a decline in purchases of gold, which investors had rushed to buy the previous month as a safe haven for their investments. I'm reading from the New York Times here. And U.S. good exports. It's not just the stuff that we're getting in, it's the stuff that we're sending to the rest of the world that we make money on. Also fell in August, shrinking by 500 million as the rest of the world bought fewer American consumer goods, cars, car parts, and gold. The only reason that was offset in any case was because of U.S. services like travel. So, the rest of us were traveling to get the hell out of this shithole that Donald Trump has created. Not the United States is a shithole, but the universe that Donald Trump has created, to other countries. That is the only reason that was offset. And he's saying tariffs are the best thing that happened to us. He better hope enough Americans have enough money and that his little reality TV Secretary of Transportation gets the planes to work so that we all continue to travel abroad. To the extent that people still want us to go to their countries.
Well, then there's that. And listen, there's so much about our financial system that I am very, very, very nervous about. Like just the way that they're even teasing out some, the FDIC and like, do we really need to? There's so many things in place to protect the American people, not just from the founding of this country and it's our financial system, but like since the Depression and the crash and like things that will protect people's money and guarantee that it remains there if there's something to happen. And it just seems as like every day they're teasing or trying to trial balloon, some, we don't need that or we don't need this. And it's all just kind of playing the middle class and the working class in this country for idiots. And it never ceases to amaze me. And I'm trying to get this video here. I'm going to send it to myself here. And I'll continue to play these clips because I think even just the way he's talking, it's so depressing, Julie. And it's really scary. And it certainly seems like they're signaling that Donald Trump might appoint himself to be Fed chair. And how awful would that be? And to your point. So let me play this.
8 wars. I have one to go. New prosperity together. And we're also making history and forging peace. And I've settled 8 raging conflicts, 8 wars. I've settled 8 wars. I have one to go. You know what that one is? I thought that was going to be my easy one because I have a good relationship with President Putin, but I'm a little disappointed in President Putin right now. He knows that. I thought that was going to be the easy one. I settled one war, 36 years. I got it done in one day. I had another one, 32 years, millions of people killed. Even Congo and the Rwanda, they had 10 million people killed. It was out of control. I got that settled. I have a man's father who happens to be in this room doing a great job, right? Got that settled. I settled 8 wars. They don't know. This room, they live on deductions.
Here it is, where he talks about middle class and
deduction do I get? We all live on it. Middle-income people, they don't know about that. They don't really have deductions. We're giving them a deduction on the interest if they buy a nice Tesla car and they borrow the money. You're so lucky I'm with you, Elon. I'll tell you, has he ever thanked me properly? Although I do let him buy other than electric cars, but these are minor details. You know, we had a mandate, which even Elon thought was ridiculous, that everybody has to have an electric car by 2030. And once, fortunately, he said, that's a ridiculous thing. So I keep quoting, but I'm giving them a deduction. Now, Elon would like to have it differently. A deduction only if you buy a Tesla, right?
Tesla.
But we'll let it be for everybody. But think of it.
So middle class people, we don't know about deduction. So that's news to me.
You know what? If you own a house, you get a mortgage deduction.
Yeah.
Like that's
or interest on your student loan payments. Like there's all kinds of things. Here's his business about the Fed, by the way. I just pulled this and sent this to myself.
29 days, then you go and make a little speech. Tell them.
Here we go.
I love the Fed job. To me, it's the easiest job in the world. You play golf for 28, 29 days, then you go and make a little speech. Tell everybody, in the case of the current guy, the wrong information because he has no clue. But if you have good instincts, it's all based on instincts. I see they want to hire 3,000 economists, 3,000, to report to the Fed chairman. What are they going to do? Take all this information? 3,000 economists. That's why they're spending $4 billion on renovating a building that should have cost $25 million to do. They should have spent $25 million. They're building a basement into the Potomac River. I could have told them that's very tough to do when it doesn't work and it's very expensive. But they're up to $4 billion headed by this clown. But we have 3,000, think of it. They want to hire 3,000 economists. So they took a poll and they interviewed 71 people. And of the 71 people, 2 people got it right. 2 people. One was a great economist whose name I won't tell you because I don't like him personally, but he is good. And the other one that got it the most right was a man named President Donald J. Trump. Do you believe it? Everyone else was wrong. And I didn't have an economist. Well, I had Scott. But we got it right, didn't we?
What was he talking about?
Well, first, he started with saying it's a great little job. He wants to be the Fed chair because all you got to do is play golf and show up every 28 days or so. And then he goes on to, I don't know what he's talking about, quite frankly. He's like speaking Greek to me.
Look, I will say again that first of all, if he wanted to make himself the Fed chair, he'd probably get confirmed by the Senate.
Especially in the wake of this Epstein thing, they would all feel like they had to make it up to him in some way.
But if he suddenly starts being in charge of our monetary policy and our fiscal policy, you see what he's done to our fiscal policy already.
Yeah.
He's going to make interest rates 0. so that he and his real estate buddies can borrow money for free to build their buildings. Inflation will go up, I don't know how much.
Yeah. And this is a man who's
The dollar will be, I mean, it's
right.
just,
I mean, how many times has he been bankrupt? He's bankrupt casinos. He's filed for bankruptcy, what, 6 times, something like that? I mean, this is not a man who should be in charge of a hot dog stand, let alone the entire country.
I mean, I think the part of this that really upsets me, Michelle, is we are truly looking at somebody who's not in his right mind. Like, they're all sitting there laughing, and they're all sitting there like, but the reality is he's very serious about the stuff that he says, and they're all beholden to him. And so therefore, we as a nation are beholden to him. And to our friends around the world who are watching, and I know there are people here from Australia and New Zealand and Great Britain, and other parts of the world, and Canada, we are so deeply, deeply grateful to you all for showing up, because this is truly a problem for the whole world, not just for those of us who sadly live under this guy. We are, I've always said this, we are still the indispensable nation, economically, culturally, militarily. Just because he's in charge doesn't mean that we're not the indispensable nation. I think a lot of countries have been content to allow us to be that indispensable nation so they could focus on their own domestic issues and not have to worry about policing the rest of the world, and not worry about, fund. He's not wrong about NATO funding. I mean, funding alliances to the extent that we do. But I will also say that he is a menace to the world, because he controls the indispensable parts of our nation. He controls the military. He controls the economy. He increasingly controls culture and what Hollywood makes, because they're all terrified of him, because his friends are buying up, look,
all of media.
Paramount, which is a major movie studio which exports tremendous movies. I spoke to a fairly prominent person in Hollywood yesterday. Michelle, you knows who it is. I'm not going to embarrass him by telling you his name. He's an important guy in Hollywood. Their development deals are all kind of on hold right now, because they don't know who's buying Warner Brothers. Paramount is going through interesting shifts because of the fact that it's obviously owned by Donald Trump supporters. Warner Brothers may be acquired by them too.
And this is always what I like to remind people. While actors and like the creators are more liberal, Hollywood is conservative. Hollywood is Republican. Do not ever forget that.
Yeah.
Do not ever forget that.
I mean, Rupert Murdoch, until he sold it to Disney, owned, Fox Studios. So I got to be honest, we're going to lose the culture war pretty soon too. And who is rising culturally right now? Who is competing with us culturally at the moment? China.
Yeah, China and the soft power with the USA. I mean, there was so much soft power that we have, and as a creative person and a performer, and that's the world that I come from. I have always appreciated and revered the soft power of creativity that this country has exported into the world for the last 100+ years. It is the thing that the United States of America will be remembered for. God forbid if this country were to crumble. It is the one, I think it's one of the one things is our ability to tell a story, and through theater and through film. If we lose that, we can't lose that. And that's again where I hope that the rich people of this country, and I'm talking FU money, right? And I forget who it was who said this the other day. Was it Samantha Bee? I think I saw her on a thing. She said, "What is the point of being FU rich if you can't say FU with your money?" Saying
because it's never enough. Listen, my husband has these people who he knows, and I've actually never met them, but he said that when they were raising their kids, they somehow raised, and they were not wealthy at all, and in fact, lived kind of paycheck to paycheck. But somehow their kids were always very grateful for whatever they had, and were not like, I need this, I need that, I need that. Like, they understood. And it wasn't because they were like, mom and dad can't afford it. It was more like they were somehow taught
Yeah.
to just be happy with what they had. And I want to know what they were feeding those kids, because God knows I don't have that kind of kid.
Yeah.
But the reality is, most of us, no matter how little or how much we make, think that we could do better. And I think that also applies especially to billionaires who are like, okay, I have my 10 billion, now I need to be 100 billion.
Right.
And if you're Bezos, you're like,
Right.
but I'm not Musk. Musk is about to have potentially $1 trillion. And if you're
Right.
Musk, you're like, I gotta, nothing is ever enough.
Growth, right?
Growth.
Every business person is all about growth. Next year, there's got to be bigger. There's no such thing as just being sustainably wealthy at the same amount for forever. No one's happy with that.
Yeah.
And
Now,
yeah,
I'm happy to report to everybody that the Constitution separates the appointment power of the president from the holder of the office. So Donald Trump cannot legally appoint himself chairman of the Fed, even the Supreme
might still
Court.
try, but
He
yeah,
might still try. There are a lot of opinions from the Office of Legal Counsel, constitutional scholars, and these opinions reaffirm that the president cannot appoint himself to any federal office, even one he is otherwise eligible for. And since he has to appoint the chairman of the Fed, but they could also change the law to make sure that's not a presidential appointment.
right.
There are things they can do.
There are things they can. There's a couple more clips here, just because people I know don't want to hear his voice all the time, but like I actually think that we have to. It sucks. Who wants to listen to this man talk? But he is not okay. He is losing his mind. He is not physically okay. He's not mentally okay. He's not emotionally okay.
Yeah.
No K. So here's another clip.
Numbers, core inflation is now below 2.7%. It was at numbers that nobody had ever seen before with them. Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is reduced by 25% this year from last year. So look, the Democrats, I don't know, some of you are probably liberal Democrats. I don't know about in your country. I don't know if you know that word, liberal. The word liberal doesn't exist. But they have a new word now. You can't use liberal, you have to use the word progressive. And is
okay.
Artificial intelligence, and we will work closely with friends and partners like those in this room to build the largest, most powerful, most innovative AI ecosystem in the world, and we are going to work it so that you'll have a one approval process, not have to go through 50 states in the United States. You can't go through 50 states. You have to get one approval. 50 states is a disaster because you have one woke state and you have to do all woke. You'll be back into the woke business. We don't have woke anymore in this country. It's virtually illegal. But you'll have a couple of wokesters, and we don't want to do that. We want to get the AI done. And
woke is illegal. We're going to have a couple of wokesters. We're not going to do woke. Woke is illegal in America. And prior to that, talking about fact check that Walmart nonsense, the reason that the Walmart Thanksgiving dinner is cheaper, as I'm sure we all know by this point, is because they're giving less food in the package and a lower quality of the brands and the food. So you're getting less and less. So yeah, it's going to be less. Like, I don't know why this continues to be a talking point. I mean, I guess just because it's all he has, but
It's all he has. It's all he has.
It's all he has.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been going at it for a while. It was not going to be this long. We just wanted to bring to people's attention that he's losing it. Michelle, I will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern.
You will, and we can talk about. I forget who this woman is who has like the Vaseline sort of lens, and she interviews conservatives. Interviewing Caroline Leavitt, and she was calling the Epstein files a classic Washington hoax. She was asked about her husband. It's all pretty. I'm watching the clips come in our chat, and I'm like, oh my God. So there's going to be lots to talk about, of course, tomorrow. There always is a lot to talk about. To anyone in the chat who commented on my hat, thank you. This is the Home Alone Kevin McAllister hat. And for someone who actually referred to it as a toque, I will assume you are Canadian. And hello, I see you. That's what we called it growing up where I'm from, is like called a toque. Toque's like a, like a winter hat.
Oh, okay.
But it's like what Canadians say is like a toque.
Got it. You're basically Canadian, Michelle. You're so close to the Canadian border.
Very close, very close. So a lot of like the, the language is kind of gray area in that part of the country. But yeah, I don't know about you. I mean, you were outside just now. I was just outside just now, and I'm like, it is so cold. It is so cold. I was like, I'm not taking this hat off because I live, and somebody else was commenting about not turning my heat on. I don't get to control my heat in my apartment. I live in an old 100-something-year-old pre-war apartment. There's no knob. It's either real cold or too hot, and there have nothing about it. It's terrible. So the hat stays on. So anyways, I just wanted to address
Get in bed. Go work for bed. Put on some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kev Cox, it's cold in London also, but at least you're in London, my favorite place. I'm such a London man. Yes, it is cold and raw here in New York. Not that great. Anybody who's in California, we're jealous. All right, everybody. We will see you all we'll see you tomorrow on Thursday at 8 a.m. And on that note.
Oh, and we're going to re-air this morning's episode at 2:30 this afternoon. So in about 10 minutes, we're going to re-air this morning's episode. If you didn't catch it, I went live shortly after we went off the air. Within literally seconds of us getting off the air, Paramount clamped down with a copyright strike on us and blocked our entire episode, not from anything except for showing fair use footage and fair use clips from VH1 of their reporting on Jeffrey Epstein in 2007. So I have put in a dispute. You can go and watch my live. I talk about it. Because I was like, what's that?
Somebody in the chat said that apparently the unedited version is on my Salty Politics.
Which is crazy.
Right. So you could watch it there, or we're going to go live. We're going to do a live premiere if you missed it.
Yeah, well, I'm just set it as a premiere at 2:30.
Somebody in the chat, Miss Banks, asked when is coffee and conversations at 10 a.m. on Saturday. We couldn't do, if you're asking about Overt today, we didn't do Overt today. I had to go to MSNBC. I believe Tara and Joe. Anyway, the point is we were not available to do it. We will be back, not next week, because that's Thanksgiving, the week after, for our final.
Our final Over It will be December 3rd.
Yes. And that's that.
That is that, folks. And to the point, and some people have asked, can't you just cut out the part, that they said is a copyright violation? I could have, but I chose not to, because honestly, I don't know if it's just the content itself. It is the subject matter that Paramount is just trying to stay on top of, and they have AI set up in order to do that. But any amount of editing or like censoring that kind of information, especially on this channel, I refuse to surrender to for any reason whatsoever. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, we'll be airing at 2:30 without that. And we'll see everybody tomorrow morning.
All right, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.